Thank you so much. I am so excited to be here today. And it was only 3 or 4 years ago that I was in the exact position as most of you here today. And the fact that I'm standing here is just astonishing to me. So first of all, I want to say thank you to Winthrop and the Melton Foundation for inviting me. I would like to start by reading out a quote that means a lot to me and that has helped me to get where I am today. You cannot connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. So you have to trust in something, your gut, destiny, life, karma, whatever it is, because believing that the dots will connect down the road will give you the confidence to follow your heart, even if that leads you off the well-worn path, and that will make all the difference. So to give you a little bit of insight in my journey, I would like to share something about my background. And this is me a very long time ago, when the picture comes up, together with my little brother, and it's his birthday today. So it's a special day to me. And we were fishing in the sand pit. Now, at that point, I didn't think life would get much better than that. And it was, ever since I was young, I always knew what I wanted to be. It was always something different, but I always knew what I wanted to be. And if I wanted something, I wanted it for 100%. I was very committed to it and very passionate. And maybe because I'm also very competitive, I remember asking my parents to lie for me because I wanted to be a dolphin trainer. And I asked my parents that if people would ask them what I wanted to be, to tell people I wanted to be a teacher. Because I'm from the Netherlands, a very small country, and we have one dolphin show. So young as I was, I knew that there weren't an awful lot of dolphin trainers needed. And I was afraid that when people found out I wanted to be a dolphin trainer, that they wanted to be a dolphin trainer too. I mean, who doesn't want to be a dolphin trainer, right? So that was, my little secret. But by the time I started high school, I was 100% convinced that I was going to be a doctor. And it was only when my exams came closer that my teachers recommended that I would drop maths and science. And dropping maths and science would mean that I would never get into medical school. And at the time, that was a huge setback for me because I knew that I was going to be a doctor. So it felt like someone had crushed my dreams. And I studied a different package. I graduated high school and I went on to university to study international business communication. My parents have always supported me, and I've been brought up with the philosophy that you can be anything that you want as long as you're willing to work hard for it. And they've always supported my choices. So also when I went up to them to tell them that I was going to quit university, to go back to high school, to get my maths and science degree, because I wanted to see if I could still get into medical school. So how many of you already know what they want to do after graduating? How many already know what their profession is going to be? It's difficult, right? I mean, if you found what it is that you really want to do, and if you have found your passion, that's incredible. And you need to be true to that and focused and work hard and be committed. If you don't know what you want, that's challenging because the media fires all these opportunities at you and they tell you anything is possible, and there are a lot of distractions. So I felt quite grateful that I knew I wanted to be a doctor. So that was my path. And I quit university. I went back to high school and I did a year of maths and science and biology. All courses I didn't like, by the way. But during that year, I had a very unfortunate accident. I fell down the stairs and fractured my neck, which made me stay in bed for over 2 months with not much more to do than reflecting on my choices. And I started to break down the whole reason why I wanted to be a doctor in the first place. And I realized it was because I wanted to make a difference in people's lives. But looking critically at my personality and my skill set, I realized that it did no longer meet the profile of a doctor. So I finished my year and I made another bold move. I went on to study health science with a master's in global health. And that was the first time I really started to think about making an actual global impact. So By the end of my master's, I went on to an exchange in Milan, Italy, and I was determined that that's where I was going to find out what my next step was going to be. Because as the end of my master's came closer, I was both filled with this excitement to finally go out and make an impact everywhere, but at the same time paralyzed that I had no idea where to start. So Milan was going to change that for me. And while I was there, I was invited by a friend to join a conference on globalization in Estoril, Portugal. And she told me I could have the spot if I would let her know in 15 minutes if I was going to go. So 15 minutes. I had zero cash. I was in the middle of my term. I had friends visiting me in Milan. I had no reason, and it would be completely ridiculous to go to that conference. I had 15 minutes to decide, and I went. And just because it felt right. And that conference changed my life. Grabbing that one opportunity changed my path and helped me find my purpose. So I was sitting in the audience, just like you are today, listening to a guy up on stage called Chris Arnold, and he was sharing his vision of what is now world merit, connecting people globally to create a more equal world. And it got to me. It opened my eyes, and I remember thinking, even if it's not through world merit, I now know what direction I need to look at. So the next break, I walked up to Chris, and I told him what a deep impact his speech had made on me. And I remember saying, how can I help? I want to get involved. Tell me what I can do. 5 minutes later, we shook hands, and I had secured an internship. So in 2013, I moved to the UK. And my first day at World Merit was actually the first day of World Merit. We had an official launch in the House of Parliament. And as I was still packing my bags, it was 3 a.m. at night, and I got a message from Chris saying, I'm so excited to see you again tomorrow. By the way, would you mind giving a speech in the House of Parliament in like 9 hours? But yeah, okay. So I jumped. And it's basically every single jump I took after that leads to the fact that I'm standing here today in front of you representing World Merit. So World Merit is a global community of young people, and we, very simply put, we gamify social action. You take action, you earn credits, and these credits make you eligible for opportunities. Taking action can happen in many different ways. It can happen on our online platform, by making friends, taking part in debates, writing blogs, but also offline through our country office framework. We have country offices in 126 different countries. And these are the people who make the underground impact. These are the people who go out in their communities to assess the needs and then act upon them. We never tell anyone what to do. We give you ownership over the change you want to see in your community. We provide tools and a framework, and that is what we call the 80-20 rule. So we empower you to do what you have to do. And maybe a weird question, but who in here believes in superpowers? Okay, couple, that's good. So I believe everyone's superpower is your purpose. It is a combination of what you're good at, what you enjoy doing, and that benefits the world around you. And the good thing is we all have it. We all have that superpower. We all have a purpose. It's just that not everyone knows what his or hers is yet. And that's okay. If you already know it, that's incredible. And again, you need to stick to that. Because whatever it is that you're going to do next is going to be a huge part of your life. So you need to make sure it is great work. And the only way you can do great work is by loving what you're doing and do it full-heartedly. If you don't know it yet, that's also okay, but don't give up and do not settle. I think that is my biggest fear, that people settle before they find their purpose. Make sure that other people's opinions do not drive out that inner voice that tells you what you need to be doing, and commit to your intuition and what your heart tells you, because somehow, like the quote in my beginning, they already know what you are set out to do. So that is about what you want to do, but it's also very important to identify what you're good at. So I love this quote. If we ask a fish and a monkey to compete about who can climb the tree fastest, we all know what's going to happen. So I guess the important thing here is to find what it is that you are good at. What are you here to do? And that is something that we really focus on within World Merit. We want to invest in making sure everyone lives up to their full potential. By being part of our community, you will build your confidence and raise aspirations so that you can be the best and most happy version of yourself. And that's all really important to bring change. So when we look at this as individual change makers, what can we do as a collective? And something that will help us do that are the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Within World Merit, we are committed to the 17 goals that are launched yesterday, it was a year ago, by the United Nations. And all countries member countries have signed off on these 17 goals. These are our goals. They're my goals, they're your goals, and they're everyone's goal until 2030. These are the world's most pressing issues, and they need us to work together to tackle them. And a lot is already happening. I'm very proud to say that with World Merit, we're one of the first global organizations to not only talk about the SDGs, but to act upon them as well. I just got back from our flagship program called Merit 360. Merit 360, we brought together 360 young people from over 85 different countries in the world to work on projects and initiatives that tackle these sustainable development goals. For 2 weeks, we were in New York, first at a beautiful summer camp venue called Indian Head Camp, and after that we spent 4 days in the city. All of this is an experience that you're experiencing right now. And we all know what happens if you bring a group of like-minded change makers together, right? That's magic. It is work hard, play hard, which you can see on this next slide, where Chris and I are on a speedboat with the UN Secretary General of the Youth Envoy, Ahmed Al-Andawi. But it's also strangers becoming family. It's contagious. It's about being vulnerable and building on each other's strengths. It's life. And it's the future. And that is very promising. So on September 9th, we spent a full day at the UN headquarters presenting the initiatives to a room of influential people. And all 17 groups had a chance to launch their projects. All projects that are happening today as a result of Merit 360. So this is when we hand over Action Plan 001 to the UN, where we commit to tackle these 17 goals. So the good news is that today we have launched the application process for Merit 360 2017, only for early birds and everyone in this room. So make sure you check out worldmerit.org or reach out to me directly, and we'll make sure that you can sign up to hopefully be in this horrible selfie attempt next year. So after all these speeches, I can imagine that you're completely excited to go back home and get started, and everyone is full of ideas. But I wanted to give you something tangible to get going. And that is because we need you. And we have identified and we recognize that the Sustainable Development Goals seem big. And that's because they are big. They are enormous, but they are in no way meant to be overwhelming or paralyzing. And if you look at them critically, you can identify things that you can do as an individual. And that is exactly what we need. We need to make those goals tangible. And we need to bring change home. So we have designed something called a 21-day challenge, and I would like to invite you to join me in doing one. After my speech, I will upload 17 examples of challenges that you can participate in for 21 days. Because it takes our brain 21 days to create new pathways, which means it only takes 21 days to create a new habit, which means that we can make a difference in our routines and therefore in our communities in 21 days. And these goals need to be broken down, and you need to know what you can do to make a difference. And then we can talk about it. So tell your friends and family about the Sustainable Development Goals, tell them about the 21-day challenge, and see if you can get them to play along. Examples of challenges are 21 days of not eating meat, not buying anything in plastic, not taking the car, taking a maximum shower of 3 minutes. It doesn't have to be that difficult. So I would love to end by a quote of my friend Patrice, the founder of Cupcake Resolution. Billions of people need you to listen to the call of your heart. And the fact that you are here today gives you both an opportunity and a responsibility to act now. It is time that we create a more equal and sustainable world. That is my dream, and I'm very excited to be on this journey with you. So thank you again for inviting me to speak here today, and I will promise to continue to work as hard as I can to make sure that I earned to be here with you today. Thank you.